Hi, and welcome to Bible History Man. Today we're going to talk about the exile after the destruction of Jerusalem, and we're going to talk about the kingdom that's going to allow them to return. If you've only learned about these guys from the Greek point of view, you might be a little surprised about what we find out. Babylon isn't going to last long after the death of Nebuchadnezzar. His successor is going to be killed by his sister's husband, and there's going to be killing back and forth. And eventually, a guy named Nabonidus is going to end up on the throne. And he is going to be a problem. See, his mother was a priestess of Sin. Sin, yes, there's a goddess called Sin. She's like a moon goddess or something. And the people of Babylon, they like to worship Marduk. And they don't appreciate this guy's devotion to Sin. And so he goes out and starts waging war to take cities that are associated with Sin. And eventually he ends up taking a 10-year hiatus to the desert to, to contemplate or something. I don't know. But he's going to leave his incompetent child, Belshazzar, on the throne. Same guy from the book of Daniel. And he's just not going to be very effective. Maybe it's the way he just likes to spend his time throwing parties instead of taking care of the empire. Either way, when the Persians come, under the command of Cyrus's commander Gubaru, they're going to enter the city as liberators and protectors. The people are going to prefer them to the Chaldean dynasty that's currently in power. Now, this guy Cyrus that is sending his army to take Babylon is as unlike Assyria as you can possibly imagine a person being, where they like to take people and force them into other lands and put fishhooks through their nose. Cyrus takes a much more laid-back sort of point of view. He says, no, guys, are you not living where you want to? Move back to your homeland. Has your city been destroyed? I'll help you rebuild it. Oh, is your temple destroyed? I'll pay to rebuild it. Oh, I'll also pay for the sacrifices. Just make sure to say a prayer for your boy Cyrus, because Cyrus could use all the prayers he could get from as many gods as he can get them. So it's not like he was a worshiper of Yahweh. He wasn't. But he was exceedingly laid back. And as a result, that's going to end the exile, because he's going to put out a cylinder where he's basically going to tell everyone that they can worship their own gods, and that he will even help them set up their temples and get their sacrifices going. Just make sure you say a prayer for me. He also allows regional autonomy. He'll have governors and satraps and stuff, but he lets the locals take care of their own business. When he takes Babylon, he's just going to leave all the local officials in office. That's why Daniel is going to continue serving as well, because he doesn't replace everybody. He's just like, oh, who's the boss? Am I the boss? That's wonderful. Now you can go about your business some more, right? And so he is exceedingly laid back, and as a result, he's really, really popular. And the children of Judah, after they return back to the land, are going to experience a period of time that is more peaceful and more happy for them than anything that they've experienced up until this point, except for the time of David. Because not only are they going to be able to run their own stuff and be able to worship God the way they choose, but they're not constantly getting attacked by their neighbors either. Well, they don't get to attack their neighbors, but I guess that's the price you pay for living in a large empire that makes sure that nobody attacks each other. Persia is also going to be better to Judah than any other empire that rules them afterwards. And that's going to include both the Greeks and the Romans, who are going to take. Now, Cyrus himself is a legendary leader, and rightfully so. He's descended of both the Median and the Persian royal lines. And since he's more associated with the family of Persia, he's going to be a vassal of his grandfather, Astyages, who is going to be the Median great leader, or Shah. He is going to pull a trick where he allies himself with Nabonidus, and this is going to make his grandfather really, really angry. And he's going to summon him into his court to answer for his deeds. And Cyrus is going to refuse. And as a result, he's going to meet Astyages in battle, and he's going to defeat him, and he's going to take him captive in his train. This is going to cause trouble with Lydia. Who's Lydia? That's a good question. It's a country. It's in Asia Minor, modern-day Turkey. And these guys are neighbors with Greece. And their leader is none other than Croesus. He's the guy that's the legendary rich guy from all the Greek myths and everything. And he's going to go up and he's going to do battle with Croesus, and he's going to win. He's going to drive him back to his capital of Sardis, which is so loaded down with loot that it's not even funny. And after sparing Croesus' life, Croesus is going to say, "Sir, would you like me to speak? Or shall I be silent?" And Cyrus is like, "You may speak." And he says, "What are your men doing there?" And Cyrus says, "Well, they're looting your wealth and dividing it amongst themselves." And Croesus says, "No, sir. They're looting your city and dividing your wealth amongst them, because it's not mine anymore." That's one of the things I love about the Greeks. They've always got great stories. We'll talk about them more next time. And so Cyrus is going to be the master of all these areas. And after he gets done with Croesus, that's when he's going to send his boy Gubaru down to take over Babylon, who's going to then be appointed the governor of Babylon. And then he's going to let the Jews go home. And here's where it gets interesting, because the vast majority of the Jews in Babylon aren't going to go home. Only a minority of them are going to return to the land of promise. And the reason for that is pretty simple. First of all, they weren't poorly treated in Babylon. The people of Babylon treated them well and allowed them to live their lives and did not treat them badly. And then they were being ruled over by Cyrus, and Cyrus was a good ruler, and they prospered under him. And so a lot of the people that were living in there, because it had been 70 years, they had no memory of living in Judah. And so they didn't go back. But enough of them did to go back and repopulate the land. And like I said, after this, you can expect to know that there are Jews living in Judah, but also in Babylon and in Egypt. Well, that's another one of my episodes. Thank you so much for watching the whole way. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I love to answer questions. And if you're interested in it, I would love to talk about it. Also, if you have any other ideas about things that I could tell you about biblical history, I'm always open to suggestions, because it's what you want to hear that I would like to talk about. Now, if you like biblical history, like I like biblical history, or even a fraction as much as I like biblical history, I have a book out called A Helpful Handbook of Hebrew History. And it's available on WisePath Books or Amazon.com, and the links are in the comments below. Now, I would recommend that you would read a book instead of listening to videos all the time, because as an educator, I know it's much better for your brain, especially if you're not an adult yet. If you're still a youth, your brain is better if you read. So I would recommend that you read that book.